next thing that we're going to look at is going to be our nutrition. And nutrition can be so overwhelming. And when we think about it, a lot of times, again, it goes back to number one. We don't know where to start. And so it can just be overwhelming, and that's okay. So what I try to do is keep nutrition as simple as possible. And so what does that look like? What that looks like is, first of all, educating. What am I even looking at in regards to nutrition? What am I trying to hit? And so educating our clients is a huge part of the fitness and health journey. We want to teach them, when we are tracking our food, what are we looking for? Educating them as, what is a protein? What is a carb? What is a fat? What should those numbers look like on a day-to-day basis? All right, and so education is first for us. Second thing in regards to nutrition is going to be learning what our BMR is. In simple terms, our BMR is the amount of calories that I am personally burning on a day-to-day basis, right? Not what the person next to me is doing, not what my teammates doing, not what my brother or sister is doing. My BMR is my basal metabolic rate, and that's how many calories my personal body burns on a day-to-day basis naturally. So we want to know that number, because then we're also going to add in our workouts or any other activity that we are doing throughout the day as well. So learning what that number is gives us a really good and accurate number of how many calories we're burning. And what that also means is then how many calories we need to be consuming on a day-to-day basis. So again, depending on what our goals are, we might be in a calorie surplus, we might be in a caloric deficit. So that's going to be based on goals, whether we're trying to gain weight with muscle mass, whether we're trying to lose weight, lower that body fat percentage, and finding out those details is going to help with that BMR and realizing how many calories am I burning on a day-to-day basis versus how many calories should I be eating on a day-to-day basis. It's been super interesting. In the last couple of years, we've been having our clients track their food, track their caloric intake versus the amount of calories that we're burning. And 90% of our females that we work with are actually not eating enough. So they're not getting enough good calories on a day-to-day basis, and it's throwing off the entire body. They're burning a ton of calories, but they're not intaking enough. And so then that's going to lead to my next point, which is protein. And so if we're not eating enough, there is no possible way that we could be intaking enough protein to hit what our body needs on a day-to-day basis in regards to protein. So once we actually figure out that BMR of our intake, next thing that I like to go to is going to be our protein. It's the easiest thing, in my opinion, to move to next, so that we're not stressing about carbs, we're not stressing about fats. I like to not even discuss those things initially. I like to just talk protein, because it's a nice positive thing, because we actually want to intake more protein. And so going back to tracking, we want to track how much protein are we actually eating. So typically for a client, again, this is going to depend on their goals, but we typically say that in regards to protein, we want to try to intake 1 to 1.2 grams of protein per pound of body weight. So when you actually do the math on that, highly encourage you to run those numbers. 90% of our clients are unable initially to hit that protein intake. And so that is going to affect everything else that we're trying to do nutrition-wise and fitness-wise, because we're not going to be able to build and repair those muscles. So we need to get that protein in our body in order to repair and then build the muscles that we're breaking down during our actual workouts that we're doing, especially if we're doing strength training and if you're doing running, cardio, anything like that. You need to refuel with protein. So highly encourage, start off with educate yourself on what should I be looking at? What do proteins, carbs, and fats, what do they mean for the body? What are they doing to me? All right. And then learning what is your BMR. This could be done on a scale such as an in-body scale, or you can simply find a calculator tool online to find your BMR. It's going to be a little bit estimated, but they're very good estimations on what your body's burning. And then the third thing is going to be to look at how much protein you're consuming versus how much you should actually be intaking in regards to, the amount of calories that you're burning and the work that you're putting on a day-to-day basis. All right. So just to kind of recap a little bit from the top, get started. There is no good time to start. All right. We're going to create a fitness program so that we have a base, an outline, and an agenda so we know what we're doing on a day-to-day basis. And then we're going to start to dive in and educate ourselves on nutrition. All right. Next thing that I like to look at, again, regardless of what your goals are, we need to look at sleep. So I always self-reflect, especially if I'm not seeing the weight loss, the muscle mass gain that I am expecting to see or that I want to see. I reflect back on sleep. Am I getting enough sleep? It is a huge thing that is often overlooked. But again, like protein, it's going to help us repair our body and actually hit our goals. If we are not sleeping enough, I'm telling you right now, it's going to be very, very hard for you to hit those health and fitness goals that you're reaching for. So highly recommend either using a Whoop or an Oura Ring. Those are going to be really good, just extra additional tools to help you track to see how you're sleeping. And it goes back to educating. It's a really just good eye opener of where is my deep sleep at? Where is my REM cycle at? So that you can start learning what is your body doing during the middle of the night. You're also going to start learning when is my ideal time to go to sleep and to wake up. And I know, especially for me, right, I don't always get to choose, when I'm waking up for the day or when I'm going to sleep. But if I could start making those minor shifts and changes, it makes a huge difference. The other thing that I learned that really affected my body in a positive way was sticking to the same schedule in regards to sleep. So trying to keep your sleep time that you're going to sleep at and your wake up time as consistent as possible. And this even goes for the weekends. So I know this sounds harder, especially when we get the weekends involved, but the more consistent you can be with your sleep, the better the outcome. So again, figuring out when your body thrives the best of going down for the night and then waking up. So get that down, and you want to be consistent with it, because I promise you it will pay off. That was something that was super, super eye-opening for me within the past 2 years, where I've just been really focusing on recovery, getting my body ready for the next day. I usually wake up and work out in the morning, but learning, where are my cycles at so that I can be making my sleep as efficient as possible. Next thing I like to look at is community and the people that we are surrounding ourselves with. So there's a great quote out there, something along the lines of, you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. And that right there is so important to me. And I think we've found it to be unbelievably true with our community, in health and fitness, because you need to truly choose wisely of who you are surrounding yourselves with. If you have health and fitness goals that you are trying to hit and they are a priority for you, you are definitely going to want to surround yourself with people that have similar goals or just goals in general that they're working towards, because they are going to influence you, right? Who are you going out to lunch with? Who are you going out to dinner with? Are you going to dinner earlier with your friends so that you can get home and be home by that bedtime? And for me, that's something that, I found was almost somewhat a limiting factor almost in, friendships or a little bit barriers, is that I have really made it a priority to start going to bed much earlier than I used to. And so when I make dinner plans, it's like, hey, yeah, I want to go to dinner at, 4:35. And to a lot of people, that's super early. They might want to be going to dinner at 8. Back in the day, I used to go to dinner at like 8 p.m. Those days are gone. All right. It's important to me. I love going out to dinner. I love hanging out with friends, but I make it a priority to set those times earlier. So just again, making sure that, we're surrounding ourselves with people that are going to accept our goals. They're going to support them. And if anything, they're going to make them better. Those are the people that you want to be surrounded with. And having a gym buddy, having somebody to hold you accountable is a huge factor as well, right? Maybe you have someone that, you've paired up with and you know that you're going to meet them at the gym at 5 a.m. You are way, way less likely to cancel on them because you're going to go meet them at the gym and they're expecting you to be there. You're expecting them to be there. And so it's a mutual accountability partner as well. And that also goes for, if you are struggling with that, that's a great opportunity of where a coach, hiring someone, hiring a trainer, hiring an online coach might come into play, because that's what that extra accountability is for. I'm always upfront and honest when it comes to our clients. It's not that we are creating these life-changing programs or something that has not already been invented, right? Our programs are amazing. Our coaching's amazing. Our nutrition coaching is amazing. Don't get me wrong. But honestly, it all comes down to that support community and the accountability factor. And so that's what we're there for, is to hold each other accountable and make sure that everybody is reaching their potential and that they have someone to go to when they are struggling, right? Even for myself, I hit plateaus at some points. I hit points where I'm not as motivated as maybe I was last week, or maybe as motivated as I was a year ago. And that's okay, but I have to know that I have my resources in my back pocket that I'm going to go to when I start to feel those motivational levels going down. So those are essentially the main 4 things that I like to look at, 5 things. Going back to those 5 things is, number 1, do not wait to start. Start now. There's going to be no perfect time to start, so just get over it and do it. Number 2 is finding a fitness program that is going to be suitable for you, that's going to be doable and realistic. Number 3 is to start educating on nutrition. What do you need to know? Where's our BMR? And where is our protein at? Our good starting points. All right. Number 3 is self-reflect on sleep. Start to learn and educate. What are your sleep patterns? And then the last thing, number 5, is going to be that community and the people that you surround yourself with. No matter what my goals are in regards to health and fitness, those are the 5 major things that I typically like to go back to, because it's just a really good foundation for everything to, set me up for success. So hopefully something, hit for you to help you down this path. But thank you so much for joining me today, and more to come.